First of all, thank you all for attending. Thanks for taking the time to attend the launch of Chain in Dubai. I know you could be at home, so thank you very much for taking the time to get there. As Craig has said, my name is Nick Valentine. I'm originally from Manchester in the UK, and I'm one of the co-founders of the Chain movement. If there are any technical difficulties, Craig, do please give me a wave. So I am a mechanical engineer, and I work for the UK Civil Service. However, I am currently seconded to Canada, where the time is 5 to 11 in the morning. So after this, I will have to rush back to work. So what Craig has asked me to do is tell you the story of how Chain came about, why we thought it was important, and really the story of how we put it together. So over the next 5-10 minutes, this is what I'm going to be talking about, and really what our aspirations for it are as well. So first of all, what actually is Chain? Now, you've already touched on that a little bit, but it does have a few aims. So they are to present a cross-section of the world of engineering. We want to show all those different disciplines that are out there. We want to educate our delegates, so that's you guys, the current issues that you might encounter as engineers. We want to showcase the different institutions that are out there, and importantly, we want to show how they can help you, and particularly what they do in the local area, the events that they run, and the support they can give you in your professional development. We want to encourage young engineers to build a community of young engineers in their local area, and to get involved with that existing community, get involved with those institutions that are already there. And we also want to inspire and create opportunities for everyone who attends these events. So those key things are that we've got three key things. We want to build that community, we want to share knowledge, and we want to raise awareness of those different institutions and organizations that are there to help you and to represent your profession. So how does Chain achieve that? Well, you'll see the general format of that tonight. So I'm not going to give that away, but Chain is tailored to each specific area each locality that it works in. We don't dictate and say you've got to use this format. You can tailor that format to each locality. So we've got locations in Manchester, Bristol, and London. And you'll note that all of those three are in the UK. So Dubai is the first one that's taken place outside of the UK. So you should be very proud of that. And as previously been mentioned, the first event was run in Manchester back in 2016. But why did we do that? Why did we feel the need to develop an event like this? So there were a few things that came together, three things specifically that came together. I was at university at the time in Greater Manchester, and I did a lot of volunteering for the Institution of Mechanical Engineers. We had just had one of our monthly meetings. This was about 2015. We just had one of our monthly meetings, and we were discussing an event. And we'd had quite a poor turnout for that event, and we were discussing why has this happened? Why aren't people turning up to our events? And the conclusion that we came to was that people simply didn't know that these events were taking place. So we were wondering, well, how are we going to get the message out there? We know that there are thousands of engineers in Greater Manchester in England and in Northwest England as a whole. There are young engineers there. How do we let them know what we're doing and how we can support them? I'd also recently attended an event in a place called Salford, and that was an event consisting of a number of 20-minute talks discussing ideas, projects, the arts, and it was a format that I really liked. So people just had to get their ideas across. They didn't have time to go into too much technical detail. It was just to get that little germ of an idea planted in you. It was just enough time to do that. And I really liked that. I really liked that format and the idea behind that event. That all it was just getting ideas across. And then the third thing was that whilst at university, I helped organise a talk on building information modelling. Now, as a mechanical engineer, this is a civil engineering and construction field, so it's not something that I thought I'd be that interested in. However, I found it absolutely fascinating. And during that talk, the speaker actually told us how BIM had come from manufacturing and mechanical engineering. So I thought, well, how am I only just hearing about this now? What other ideas are out there from the other disciplines that maybe my discipline can use, mechanical engineering can use, and maybe the electricals can learn from the civils and the aeronautical engineers? How do we get people to see across those disciplines rather than me just sitting in my mechanical engineering bubble? So I had these three ideas and concepts floating around in my head. I remember sitting on the tram in Manchester and thinking, well, why don't I, with my friends, put on an event? So why don't we take that format, so the 20 minutes where you only have time to talk about an idea, we get a speaker from each of the different institutions and we get them to sell us an idea. That way we have talks from all those different disciplines. We get to see the different engineering institutions that are available to us. They get the opportunity to sell themselves. And how do we put that together then? So I think I was still on the tram. Straight away, I phoned my friend. I phoned him and said, I've got this idea. Do you think it's actually worth putting together? Do you think it's worth doing? And he essentially said, yeah, he'd had this, he'd understood those concepts for a while. We'd talked about them, but it took just that germ of an idea to plant in my head, to plant in his, to get it all going. Sorry, I'm in a meeting room and people keep coming to the window to see if I'm free or not. Yeah, so I talked it through with him. And I couldn't have done it without the support of my friends and the support of the network that I'd built up through the Institution of Mechanical Engineers. And we wanted to keep that format of only 20-minute talks, because you're going to have a range of people from various different disciplines. You're not going to want to go into too much technical detail because not everyone is going to understand. And we wanted to keep that format. We just want to get the ideas across. And I liked the idea that it was all about telling stories rather than going into deep technical content. You tell those stories to people. Now, so I'd spoken it through with my friend, and from that point, it took a lot of work to do. So the institutions in Manchester were very much used to 1-hour lectures. They weren't used to the idea of, say, a day event, which Manchester turned out to be. We did it for a day with multiple talks, just lasting 20 minutes. This was a new concept to them, and it was quite hard to help them to understand what we were trying to achieve. So, and particularly to get them to commit. So we needed to get funding from them, and it was quite hard to get them to understand the whole concept. So what we did is we went and physically spoke to each of the institutions rather than just firing emails at them and directing them to the website. We physically went to them. We explained the concept, and we came up with the ideas, which I stated earlier. And yeah, it took a lot of work to do, but it was worthwhile doing, both from an institutional perspective. The young people who attended, the engineers who attended, got to see that wide range of institutions that we had in Greater Manchester, and from a personal perspective, I feel like I developed a lot from it. But it did take a lot of work, and it's been happening now in Manchester every year since. So earlier this year, we ran our 4th event in Manchester. We've had people like the Chief Engineer of the Royal Air Force attend. We've had the Lord Mayor of Greater Manchester attend. So we get some quite high-profile people attending these events in the UK, and that's something that I personally feel quite proud of, and that's a nice reward to have from putting the effort in. And I think what I'd like you guys to take away from this is that if you've got an idea, give it a go. I was just sat on the tram. I phoned up my friend, said, shall we do this? He said, yeah, let's at least try. And a year later, we delivered that event. And 4 years on, here I am presenting to you guys in Dubai from Canada, which if you told me that 5 years ago, I would have told myself not to be stupid. That's ridiculous. But here we are. If you've got an idea, whatever it is, whether it's to do with your hobby, whether it's to do with work, just give it a go. You'll be surprised at how much you can achieve from it, and you'll be surprised at how much your network can help you. You're always finding, oh, you do filming. Oh, can you help film my event? Yeah, that's really helpful. And you'll be surprised at what support that your network and your friends can give you. So as you're attending this event, have a think about what you'd like to see from Chain Dubai. How could it be of benefit from you? You guys have given up your time tonight to come to the launch of Chain Dubai. So what would you like out of it? I know there's time set aside later for a discussion. And yeah, as you're listening to the talks, have a think about, well, what would I like to get out of this? How can this be of more value to me? And contribute those ideas during the discussion. And have a think about, well, could I help organise the next Chain Dubai? Could I make it bigger? Could I make it better? And because it's a great thing to do, it does build your network, and it helps you develop all kinds of different skills that you might not get from just the technical aspects of engineering. So I've learned loads about project management and really events management as well, because that's what fundamentally these are, and public speaking as well. So I've learned a lot from doing this. So if you'd like to do the same, yeah, get involved and help organise one of these events and help build that engineering community. We all want to be more effective engineers. To do that, we'd like to build the community of engineers so we can share those ideas, and ultimately we want to help build a better world and build even better Dubai. So yeah, think about it and do please contribute your ideas at the end. And yeah, you can contact direct me on LinkedIn if that's what you'd rather do. But most of all, I hope you enjoy tonight. I hope you can all take something away from it. And I'd like to thank Craig and Arun and the Digital Academy for hosting this and putting the effort into delivering it. So yeah, thank you very much.
Our first speaker, John Price, thank you very much, Chairman for the iStruct. I know that when I initially was looking for experienced individuals as opposed to young engineers, is that what we say? We don't talk about old engineers and young engineers, we say young engineers and experienced engineers. So hopefully John will tell us a little bit about the iStruct, but also about his career himself. Thank you.
I turned 50 last week. Is that okay, Aaron? Okay. Well, thanks for inviting me. I share Nick's passion as well for having building a community of engineers. I actually come from the same part of the UK as Nick, just outside of Manchester, so we've both got the same sort of silly accent. So anyway, so yeah, I'm here tonight on the capacity of the Institute of Structural Engineers. I'll run through my slides, but let's do a hand show, because I always like to see how many of Sabi's guys are here and how many of my guys are here. So anyone who's affiliated with the Institute of Civil Engineers? Okay. My institution? Good. I saw a few more on the list. We're always late with projects. So anyway, I'll have words with them. I'll find out where the membership numbers are and I'll sort them out. Okay. We've rebranded just recently. You'll see the old banner outside. So we've got some spanky new colours there. We've gone all green. And that's me. Industry expert number 1. And grey hair all the way around to prove it. I'm a fellow of the Institute of Structural Engineers, and we'll go into more of that later. I'm also a technical director for Oricon. So yeah, make it fun, Craig said. I'm an engineer, we try to be funny, but anyway. So yeah, there's me, about 4 years old, hands in my pockets, fiddling with something, I really don't know what. And there I am, 40 odd years later. So yeah, living the dream there. I think I've got actually an engine, a railway engine in my hand there. So I've always had engineering in my blood. I've always wanted to build things, construct things. I nearly became a mechanical engineer and then I saw the light. So there, graduated from Leeds University in the UK, chartered 2000. So that's, yeah, quite a few years ago I'm a steelwork man. If you cut my arms, I bleed zinc oxide, for those steelwork guys and girls in the audience. So yeah, the whole point of getting up is just to show what experience that I've got, the journey that I've made, going from that little lad with his hands in his pockets, playing with toys, through to where I am today. I'm still not too sure I do know what I want to do today, but engineering is where I am. So, high school, won my first best bridge competition. For those that know the UK, which I'm not too sure many do, this was my first inspiration. The Menai Straits Bridge, Thomas Telford, which you civil engineers will know very well. Went to college. I used a drawing board. How many people use a drawing board? Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Pencils, rubbers, erasers, they were the days. But I think that sort of gave you a background in engineering. You felt your project. I'm not saying you don't nowadays with BIM, but I think when you're physically drawing it, you get a feel for a size, even at a scale. Okay. And even on the exam for the structural engineers, you've still got to be able to sketch. You've still got to be able to draw. You can't take your laptop in. You can't print stuff out. So, anyway. So yeah, I came to the point of what do I do? I did physics. I did maths. Do I go to mechanical engineers? Do I go to civil engineers? Do I become like an accountant? Here I am today, building things. Leeds, great university, left with what we called a Desmond, a 2-2. So it was an average degree. But I'm here just to show that even with just an average degree, you can make something of what you do with your life, okay? Here I am. Like Nick was saying, if you told him 5 years ago he was in Canada, if he told me when I was that little boy with my hands in my pockets like that, I'd be a regional chairman, a fellow of the Institute of Structural Engineers, I'd tell you to get lost. Yeah. Graduated 1990, so that's quite a long time ago. Chartered in 2000, and then I became a fellow of the Institute of Structural Engineers last year. Bit of a career line. It looks like I've had a lot of jobs over the years. But, you know, my first job, I was there 6 years, 4 years, the next one, and it's all steelwork. And then the recessions hit, so you had a tendency to bounce around. Small, medium, and then I got onto the likes of Mott MacDonald's or the larger institutes. And then I came to Dubai 14 years ago, near enough to the day. Where are we now? Yeah, the 14th. In 2 weeks, I've been here 14 years. So I've worked on mainly construction sites. So Craig said, just what are you doing nowadays? So I work for a company called Oricon. Some of you civil engineers will know them as well. More of the infrastructure side of things, the traffic side of things. I come from the built environment, so I build it from the floor upwards. Oricon, well, there you go. You can see the map. We're in more than 80 countries, about 11,000 employees. But we're global, but we're local as well. I'm not doing a sales pitch. These are just the people that I work for. And these are their strength in the Middle East. And there are some of the projects that the company I've been with are involved with. Do not ask me about this one. I've signed NDAs. I can't tell you anything, okay? But they're the other projects that we've worked on. Nassim, Bollywood, projects in Doha, Jeddah, Qatar. Gone from, again, the little boy, hands in pockets. I still put my hands in my pockets a lot. Through to working for a company that are producing projects like this. And again, a company, they're getting very much into digital, just as these guys here are very much into digital. I mean, it's the future. I talk about the drawing board that I was on. It's still very important that you know about the drawing board and how to build a project up. But yes, digitalisation is something that even us with grey hair have all got to grab hold of, you know. It's all on your phone. Mine's starting to go. But yeah, we're all going to be looking at little screens like this. We're all going to be visualising buildings through AI and all of that. So embrace. It really is a case of embracing. I'm just going to show pictures of what I've been involved with over the years. Just get bored of my voice. So let's have a look. What have we got? So these are the little projects I've been involved with. So this was, when I first started, this was, that building there is in Wales. And all the calculations I did by hand, that might shock some people in here, but I used a pencil and a calculator. I didn't have computers then. These were the projects, mainly portal frame buildings, but you can see here, I built that one there. In fact, my father worked in that building. And again, these are all buildings that were done with paper. These weren't. That's Mathew City Centre, so I was involved with, I was the resident engineer on that there, so I was involved with making sure that it stood up structurally. And again, some more. You can see that I'm involved with prestige projects. You can see that I'm involved with building cowsheds in Scotland. Okay, they're important buildings. They serve a community. You feel like you're a part of a community. So I built hospitals. You'll see a nuclear power station on there. You can see a cowshed. So it's the next one. Nuclear power stations, redeveloping city centres. So yes, I'm a structural engineer, but I'm involved in the community. So I've gone through, I've got my focused on structural engineering, I've gone through the Institute of Structural Engineers, but involved with communities, So these are the sort of projects that I've been involved with. And in far-flung places, that's Iraq. So I got to build in Iraq. So you're using, that particular project I turned up. We didn't have a site investigation, funnily enough. So we just had to build it all ad hoc. So it all becomes an adventure as well. Abu Dhabi extensions, City Walk, not too far from here. So it's these sort of projects that I've been involved with as a structural engineer through the Institute. And this one as well, I was involved with this one. So this was a great thing to be involved with. And in fact, it won an award for in the structural engineers. Which one was it? What award did it win? Tall and Slender, 2018. So again, it's all about being proud. It's all about being a part of an institution that wins awards and showcases projects like this. That's what I'm working on currently, just over the road. Don't ask me about that one either. I can't tell you. So what inspired me to become an engineer? I mean, with looking at buildings like this, so we've got Wat Po in Bangkok. So these old structures, these old buildings. I love looking at buildings. I can walk around a supermarket and I'm looking up like that. The wife just smacks me along, but she just stopped looking up. Buildings like the other one in Bangkok there, which is called the Lego building. It's just inspiring to see where technology has gone from building just rectangular buildings to things like that. And as a structural engineer, I get inspired by buildings like this. So these are my own photographs, but you might recognize some of them. Burj, and Singapore, and these things are just superb in Singapore, and sustainable as well. I think one's a water tower. So I'll talk a bit about the institution side of things. So I wear two hats. So it's my Oricon hat, but tonight I'm here for the Institute of Structural Engineers, which I've been involved with since I graduated. So that's quite a few years. There's me again. Slightly more hair there, both on my head and my face. But yeah, so I became a fellow last year. It's a great achievement, and it provides you with some sort of seniority in the institution that you're in there. You can read it. It demonstrates exceptional ability, experience, and professionalism. So, Chartered 2000. I'm currently the chair of the regional branch. I serve council in the UK, so I'll travel to London every so often to talk about global ideas, which I'll just come on to at the end of the talk. And it's shaping engineers' futures. I might be old, but I like getting involved with the younger engineers. I sit on the international chair. I'm in the chair of the international group. I do the professional review assessors, a mentor. I love mentoring. And I sit on a lot of the university panels to give them input into where they want to take their engineers. Do we want to do this? Do we want this on our course? Is this relevant to industry nowadays? I really enjoy getting involved in that. What do next? So yeah, so as the institution here in Dubai, we get up to all sorts. So there's me with the past chairman before me, Mohammed Al-Dar, very good friend. There's me sitting in the Society of Engineers when we've signed a memorandum of understanding with them, and they help us out every so often. A great bunch of people. Committee meetings, usually in a restaurant. This is the CEO. He pops over every year. What else have we got there? And here's something I really am passionate about. So we get involved with the graduate engineers, helping them get through so they can do their exam. So that's a shot of our chartered membership exam where I do get them to present their ideas, put them on the spot, and get them through, and hopefully get them through their chartership. And then we get involved with the universities still. Here's an event that you'll recognise, that we got young students. We got basically a pile of crap and told them they have to build something, transport something, and then there's a competition there. So it engages in universities all the way from Ras Al Khaimah right through to Dubai. And it was a fun day, wasn't it? It was, actually, wasn't it? So, and there you go, there's some committee members playing with some VR. And no, that's a drone. So yeah, there you go. We're embracing technology, even in the institution. And they did get wet. They did get wet. There's me on council. So again, at London, discussing ideas of how to shape the future of engineers. And what's the next thing that's coming up that we've got to be cognizant of? What do we need to address as structural engineers? And this year, I'll come on to that. But yeah, so the council, our council is formed of a presidents, vice presidents, past presidents, regional chair people like myself, ordinary members that get voted on through coming up with your own electoral spiel. We're there to provide guidance to the board, monitor activities, elect presidents, and promote structural engineering. I mean, I'll promote structural engineering. I prefer to promote engineering. I've got some very good friends here now that where, like Nick, I want to it's an engineering community. So whether you're HVAC, whether you're plumbing, whether you're a structural engineer, you've all got the same sort of goals. With some of the institutions you've got, we're all part of the engineering council. I can mentor someone else of another discipline. Principles are the same. This year, we discussed this a lot. I'm actually doing a talk in 2 days' time on this, and everyone, this is what we're embracing now, and it's the sustainable development goals. So even structural engineers are getting involved, and some of these are pertinent. Anyway, that's a quick insight of me as an engineer, as a person, and representing locally the institution of structural engineers. So hopefully that's given you a bit of insight. I talk very fast. I think that was within the 15 minutes. So thank you for listening.
We now have a young engineer to present to us this morning, the first one. And very fortunately, I've actually worked with this gentleman before. We used to work in the same company before, Bureau Happold. Neither of us are there now. But Munis is here as a former SIBSI YEN, Young Engineer Network, is that YEN? SIBSI YEN Global Chair. Munis, come and tell us all about that. Thank you.
Thank Thanks. All right, good evening, everyone. Can everyone hear me at the back? Awesome, cool. Bit about myself. As Craig said, first of all, thank you for inviting me over to present. I'm speaking on behalf of CIPSI and also partly Ramble as well, because they've supported me in the past 3 years. I've been with Ramble to go out and sort of promote building services industry to engineering students around the world and also engineers around in the industry. So a bit about me, who am I? What am I doing here? So my name is Hameed. I work as a mechanical engineering consultant at Ramble. I have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree as well. I'm going to talk about that. I got your key points, Craig, about making it much more fun. So I'll get there eventually. So bear with me for the boring part of it, if this works. There you go. Awesome. So who was CIPSI? Who has heard of CIPSI here? Show of hands. Brilliant. So CIPSI is Chartered Institute of Building Services Engineers. We kind of like I-Structure, as he spoke about. We do have publications, we do have guidance, we do have publications which sort of help design buildings sort of in the country and around the world as well. So we have guidelines, we have legislations, we have sort of all kind of guidebooks that sort of help you design buildings in the industry. And it's not limited to mechanical or electrical as a whole. We have acoustics, we have lighting, vertical transportation. It's all inclusive of that. We have CIPSI guides, which is used for commissioning in the industry as well, very widely around the world. And that's partly CIPSI. We're kind of global. We have 19 official regions around the world. Mostly it's in the UK, but we have chapters in Hong Kong, UAE, and New Zealand and Australia as well. And we do have international chapters like the ones that we have in UAE over here. And among that, we have Sri Lanka and Qatar coming up in the coming few years as well. We have a huge focus on the women in the industry. So we have a subgroup called WIPSI, which is Women in Building Services Engineering. It's run in the UK, and now it's been run in UAE as well by Farah Naz, who's an associate at Bureau Apple, if you know her. They've been quite successful in getting all the women together from the industry into one room and talking about ideas and sort of promoting the industry to young engineers and students in the university and get more women into the industry to sort of balance the ratio out. The reason why this guy is up there is just to give you a brief of what CIPSI is all about in a nutshell, if you're not really aware of the guidance. So we kind of help people explore ideas of what they should be doing or what they want to see in the industry. This guy, 2 weeks ago, he won a Kendall Bursary Award for 4,500 UK pounds to go around the world and to understand what's happening in terms of the occupant comfort in the office. So his idea was that wherever he goes, wherever he meets people in the office, there usually complaints about thermal discomfort from women. They're usually wearing coats, shawls, and jackets, and they feel a bit of discomfort in the office. The question is, why is it happening? Is it only happening in the UK? So his idea was to explore, go out and meet different women around the world and see if they all feel the same thing, or is it just people from the UK who feel that? So he got the idea, he won the award, he's going to go around the world, he's going to go to San Francisco, he's going to go to Hong Kong, he's going to come to Dubai, and he's going to go to Singapore as well to understand what's happening around the world, and then report back to us of is it actually a problem in the design, or is it just the woman? Sorry. So that's basically our interest group in CIPSI. We have a lot of them. You can check out our website at CIPSI/groups. I'm here on behalf of YEN, which is the Young Engineers Network. As Craig said, I've been part of CIPSI for the past 5 years now, nearly, 4.5 to be exact, and that's the reason why I'm here. CIPSI also has journals. We issue them every month. If you're a member, even if you're a graduate member, you get access to CIPSI journals. You can either have them emailed to you on your email ID, or it comes as a hard copy post to your PO box address. It's a good way of getting up to date with the industry and know about the markets and what's happening around in the world as well. So that's the boring part of the presentation. Now the fun part. Now, I've turned this presentation into a theme which was quite, I would say, prominent in the past few months on social media. It's called the 10-year challenge. So I'm pretty sure everyone's aware of that. This was Burj Khalifa in 2009, and that's Burj Khalifa in 2019. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about what I've been doing for the past 10 years and how I ended up where I am right now, to be honest. So let's start with 2009. In 2009, September 9th, to be exact, I was at university, to be honest. That was my first day at university to start my bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. That was a big leap from moving on from school to a university. Now, moving on to these years, in 2010, Burj Khalifa finally opened its doors to people. And that was a remarkable year for Dubai as a step forward in having the tallest building in the world. In the years that forward, 2011, anyone knows who that is? That's Novak Djokovic. He won his first ever Wimbledon title, beating Rafael Nadal. If you're a fan of Nadal, you're probably depressed, but that was a big achievement for this guy. The world was doing pretty good. Everyone was pretty happy. The life was going fine. And all of a sudden, boom, the world ended in 2012 for some reason. I know, it was a bit of a shocker, but somehow we survived that. But do you know how we survived that? Thanks to these guys. They come out in summer and they save the world for us. And that's exactly why we're here. Otherwise, we won't be here right now listening to me and this boring conversation. But anyways, we're here now. So let's just make a fun of it. In the years that happened, so that was saving of the world. Now the world got awakened in 2013. We had this guy, Edward Snowden, sort of came out with a lot of information, sort of explored some very sensitive information about some authority in US, which was a bit of an awakening for the entire world. And in the years that came forward, 2014, I don't know if anyone can recognize that, but that's the picture released by NASA, which was the first time we ever landed on a comet. So that was a big leap for humankind as well. Now, all this was happening around the world. People were getting Wimbledon, people were reaching the comets. I was still there. I didn't move anywhere. I was still there. I didn't achieve anything. I finished my bachelor's degree in 2012, and I started my master's degree in energy, and that's when I finally stepped into building service engineering in 2015 at last. And I enrolled into a graduate program for pure Apple engineering, and also immediately became part of CIPSI. So that sort of became my journey into building services. And that was a remarkable year for me. And luckily for that year, we're sitting actually, the blinds are closed, but if you could lift the blinds, you could actually see a building behind you, which is called the Museum of the Future, which became sort of my pet project, I would say. And if you know more about it, speak to Greg. He is the one in charge. He was in charge of the BIM, and very well we worked together a couple of nights, I guess, trying to get this out to the client. And that was a remarkable achievement for us and a big learning curve for me as well, like literally a learning curve for me, like literally. So it was quite fun. In the same year as well, I became part of CIPSI as a committee, as an active member. So from being just a general member, I sort of put my hand up and wanted to become the technical officer arranging events like these for CIPSI-EN. And the same year, after working hard for a year, I got elected to the vice chair position to sort of lead the whole UAE region forward as the EN. In the years that moved forward, 2017, 18, I got to work on some iconic projects. Killer Design, who designed the Museum of the Future, also designed the Address Hotel at JBR, which is coming up at the JBR beach right now. If you sort of drive past by towards Blue Waters, you can see it coming up quite rapidly. I was really happy to be part of that project. It was really amazing. In the same year, I was working with EMR as well on Plot Bond, unofficially called Bond because it's 007, at Dubai Creek Harbor, which is a learning curve for me as well. And that sort of became my development as an engineer of what I'm learning in the industry, how actually things happen from paper to actually in reality. In 2017, the same year, I was awarded a certificate of appreciation by CIPSI for my hard work as a CIPSI-EN vice chair. We had our first international global conference for young engineers in Dubai, and I took part in organizing it, and that was a big achievement for us as well to sort of launch the UAE chapter officially in UAE. In the years that came forward, 2018 was a remarkable year for me, which was last year. I got to work with BIG. A bit of a side note, if you watch Netflix, I'm pretty sure you all do, there's a documentary series called Explain, and episode number 3 is about BIG, BRK Engels, who is a very interesting architect who worked on amazing projects around the world. His idea of hedonic sustainability is quite interesting to look into. I'll leave you with that for you to explore more, but I got a chance to work with this guy to work on this amazing project in Abu Dhabi in Reem Island. And I also got a chance to work with MVRDV, who are based in Netherlands, Rotterdam, to work on this amazing mixed-use project in Abu Dhabi as well, which is part of the whole Makers District. And that sort of led me into a big learning curve for me in terms of learning where the industry is going moving forward as well. In last year, I was elected as the first international global EN chair. It's a bit of a long statement to say, but that was a big achievement for someone outside of UK to take into that position. That's exactly why I'm here, Craig, as well, as a former chair, because I took up this role in 2018, and I stepped down this year in April to take up a different position, which I'll talk about in the end. And that's sort of all the EN chairs and vice chairs from around the world, including Hong Kong, Singapore, UK, Australia, and New Zealand. And as a global chair, again, I did whatever I could as my best to give back to the industry and to the institution, and I got awarded a certificate of appreciation earlier this year in February at the annual dinner. If someone listens to the business radio 103.2, you might recognize this guy as Richard Dean, who's the presenter there for the business segment of it. I forgot the actual show of the show, but anyways, that's him presenting me the award, which is a big achievement for me as well this year. And 2018 has been quite interesting for us as well as Ramble. We've been busy in projects with Saudi Arabia. I can't tell you the client. I can't tell you more about this project, but we're working on it. It's keeping us busy. 2019 is where things changed quite a bit. So I've stepped out from the global chair position of YEN, and I've moved into a new position, which is now called the SIPSI YEN and the ASHRAE YEA liaison. So now I work with the young engineers in SIPSI and the young engineers in the ASHRAE to make them work together so that we can sort of build a strong relationship when it comes to having the industry regulations and standards around the world. So I don't know if you all know, but ASHRAE and SIPSI have a memorandum of understanding in operating outside of their own countries in UK and USA. So we're kind of trying to get that relationship working together stronger, and that's my role moving on for the next 2 years. And 2019 is why I'm here as well, so this is my year. And that's basically my journey in the past 10 years. Our question is, if you're young, no matter how old you are, what's yours? Thank you. Awesome. On time.
Thank you. So we're all wondering how you get a job with a company who then lets you go travel the world. That's too good to be true. Is that what happened? Ramble just let you go off and travel the world as a YEN representative? Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Hard to believe, but yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Munis. We're now going to have our another presentation from a young engineer, this time from a young female engineer. Thank you very much, Priscilla, who is, I have it here, former IC student president at Manipal University. Priscilla, come on up and tell us your story. Thank you.
Hi, am I audible back there? Everyone can hear me? Okay, great. So good evening, everyone. I hope you're all having a great evening today. So I was asked just last Wednesday to come up and present here for 5-6 minutes about my journey with the IC from student to graduate. So I work with KAO as a graduate sustainability engineer, and everything for me started by getting this piece of paper, also known as my bachelor's in civil engineering last year. So there is a lot of backstory to this degree which involves the ICE. So I was part of the very first IC student chapter in my university, and we were lucky enough to be inducted in at Heriot-Watt University with Sir John Armitt, the then IC president, in 2016. And being part of the student chapter committee not only allowed us to promote IC within our university, but also participate in inter-university competitions like this, the IC Real World Engineers Challenge, which John had talked about. So we were part of its very first edition, and we were lucky enough to bag the second position. And the video that's being played there, there's actually 2 students inside. We were told to build a structure that could withstand a 5 magnitude earthquake and torrential rain. So this was conducted with the IC and iStruct E. Yeah, they were screaming for their lives in there.
That's the earthquake, yeah.
They were also sprayed with a lot of water. When they came out, they were soaking wet. So the IC also helped us conduct our very own events at university. So one of those events was called Simstruction, where in the Sims 4 game, I don't know if anyone knows about the game, I see someone nodding their head there. So in the game, they were supposed to build a 2-story villa with limited financial constraints. So there were teams of 2, and the IC helped us sponsor the event. And not only competitions, the IC also holds research competitions annually called the Emerging Engineers Award. So I participated in 2018 And my paper was about a technology that converts wastewater into electricity while treating it at the same time. So I got the first runners-up position. And this was actually a catalyst for me to pitch my idea at New York University Abu Dhabi's Start AD Beyond the Pitch competition. That's a mouthful. But yeah, we got a check from Dr. Thani, who is the UAE Minister of Climate Change and Environment. So like John had said, you know, if you get an idea, you have, I mean, like Nick had said, if you get an idea, you have to keep going on with it. You know, don't stop believing in yourself. Just roll with it. And I participated again this year, and my paper was on the sustainability building ratings in the UAE. And this time I got support and encouragement from my company, and they even posted my achievement on their social media pages. And then I'm also proud to be part of IC's focus on women in engineering. So we had this event on 23rd June which was the International Women in Engineering Day. So that day we had sessions from women who talked about their experiences in construction industry and how the IC credentials helped them in their journey. We also gathered for a quick lovely breakfast on Saturday for the International Women's Day, where again we bonded over the similar experiences we as women faced on construction sites and how women should lift up other women in the industry. So such events are actually very important for young female engineers because it lets us know we're not the only ones out there, and we have a support system of really accomplished women out there. So the IC also has platforms for networking and learning new topics, and these all events were conducted right here. And these are some shots from this year's UAE Learned events. We also had our graduate and student committee meeting right here. So we gather every year in the beginning of the year to discuss our goals for the upcoming year. So this year, one of our goals was to conduct more STEM events. The student chapters would go into schools and promote STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and then have more women-focused events and also having more competitions for university students. So one of my favorite events that the IC conducts every year is the annual gala dinner, and one of the presenters is right here with us today. So every year we get great British personalities to come in, and this year we are getting Kate Aid, who is a BBC correspondent, and registrations are still open for this year's event, which is on October 10th at the Address Hotel in Dubai Marina. You can speak with Ruth or Lakshmi from IC to know more. So at this event, every year the Emerging Engineer Award winners are honored, and for me as a fresh graduate at that event, I was able to network with top executives from leading companies in the UAE, and they would open up with, "Weren't you the girl who was on stage a few moments back?" And I was like, "Yeah." So that actually helped me land my job at KAO today. So I owe a lot to the ICE. So thank you for listening to what I had to share with my journey from student. I'm not done. Can you go back? Sorry. Yeah. So before I leave, I actually wanted to play this video about the IC. And I know when John asked for a show of hands for the IC members, there were a lot of you out here. So everyone here knows that the IC is a 200-year-old professional institute with over 900,000 members in over 150 countries. And this is a campaign video for Get Charted. So I hope it plays.
Without being chartered, I don't think I would be where I am now. Currently, I'm working for Hyperloop Transportation Technology. We just finishing one of the first ever feasibility study for a Hyperloop connection between Abu Dhabi Airline. That's never been done before.
We have to have a certain number of chartered engineers. It's important for bids across the globe.
طبعا انت لو قمت تروح في التندرنج بروسيس وتقول لهم انا عندي في التيم مالي 10 مهندسين تشارتد، هاي تضيف الكواليتي لك. اذا انا عندي شركه محترفه فيهم الناس محترفين، فتعطي نفس ما قلنا الراحه والاطمئنان للزبون، وتعطي الثقة للشركة العاملة للمقاولة نفسها.
Our clients always want to know the qualifications of the staff that we're proposing for the projects.
It certainly helps when we're bidding for projects to be able to put forward engineers who are chartered, because it's an internationally recognised benchmark of quality.
Earlier, some of these projects, certainly in the region here in the Middle East, the clients do dictate that the leader of those projects would be a chartered engineer. Being a chartered civil engineer means that you have not only technical knowledge but also commercial, contractual, sustainability, health and safety knowledge, and that puts you in a very nice position to lead projects.
The idea is to have a holistic development. You need to have an understanding of how the business is functioning, or how your skill set fits into the bigger picture.
The purpose of the whole process is to produce an engineer who, when put in a position of responsibility, will make the right decision.
If we know they've achieved a chartership, we know they've been through a very strict process and they've been validated.
Being chartered it's not just becoming a member. The package which comes with it, the support you get from the institution, the help you get from your peers, and one of the biggest technology and technical library in the world is within the institution of civil engineering.
It has been ICE members who have provided the mentoring which has made me what I am today. It is a long journey, but I believe it's absolutely worth it.
And I think it's the best decision I ever taken to become chartered engineer, member of the Institution of Civil Engineers.
So I hope to see more chain events in the future, because platforms like these not only help connect, engage, inform, it also inspires fellow young engineers. So thank you very much.
And there's a really good sort of thing to be taken there, this chartered. You know, and I mean, that was in your presentation as well, John. Now, I might be wrong, but if I remember rightly from the dates, it looked like it was like 10 years or something. Would that be right? You know, you're to be chartered or to be right. But in this, certainly in this region in particular, you know, that is what they are looking for as a professional qualification, is chartered. Yeah. Sorry, I'm asking the questions here. In terms of the percentage then of engineers in your institutions to engineers who are chartered, what would that typically be?
We've got nowhere near as many as ICE. We've got
More than 90,000.
Yeah, I mean, we're 30,000, but it's about 50-50.
Right.
And it's the student and graduate proportion is very large.
Wow.
You know, so we've got 50% of students and graduates, which is great. But it's around, we've got 50-50 of 30,000 worldwide.
Wow. Amazing. Right, our next speaker, we're now back on to our industry experts. And I had said to Mathew Lamont when he was agreeing to speak, and Mathew's the chair of the CIOB for the Dubai Hub, and I'd said to Mathew, give us some words of wisdom. So I'm delighted to hear what these words of wisdom that you're going to impart on us are, Mathew. Thank you.
Good evening. I was actually expecting to have my notes in front of me on the PowerPoint, but I don't have that.
Can you see them there? No,
that's fine. That's okay. Yeah, I think the brief tonight was quite vague. It was come up here, tell us about yourself, tell us about the institution, give us some words of wisdom, and keep it to 20 minutes. And then in typical Dubai fashion, we cut the programme by 25% and expected us to deliver in the same time. So yeah. So here we are. My name's Mathew Lamont. I'm Scottish, just like Craig. I work for Turner & Townsend. I'm a project director there. I head up their project management team here in Dubai. And I'm also the chairperson on the Dubai hub for the CIOB. So I think there's lots of questions running through my mind before I came here. So what makes this guy an industry expert? And I'll be honest with you, I don't think I am an expert. I know experts. I know who to speak to when I need help. I know who to go to when I need a job done. And I'm a construction manager, I'm a project manager. So it's my job to do that. Yes, I've got my chartered engineering. I did that because I felt as an individual, for me to judge other engineers, I think it's only due and fair that you have a bit of respect for me and what I'm also judging. And it was, to me, getting the chartership was very important. What makes the CIOB relevant to me? Because I've gone through life and I've done design, I've done project management consultancy, I've worked with a contractor. I am a construction manager. And for that reason, the CIOB is actually probably the most relevant institute for me in terms of what I do and who I work with. It offers probably a more inclusive membership than engineering institutes. We'll take clients, we'll take designers, we'll take quantity surveyors, it's amazingly. We take anyone. So long as you work in the construction industry, we're happy to work with you and mentor you and try and make you a professional in the same way as the engineering institutes do. No difference. What are the words of wisdom? Let's carry on. So, yeah, like I say, I'm not an expert, but I know who to ask. When did I join the CIOB? Not that long ago, actually. I only joined the CIOB about 2014. It just so happened when I was back in the UK, I did what was it was an NVQ, National Vocational Qualification, which essentially gave you the passing credentials to become a chartered member of the CIOB. And I thought, well, I've gone this far, I might as well just carry on and do that. And when I came to Dubai for my second time in 2014, I thought, well, I might as well make use of this membership. I want to do something extra and support others as well, because I'd been doing that in the UK. I was doing a lot of the STEM events that we were talked about earlier on. So I wanted to keep on helping people and develop people. Like I said, CIOB, it's relevant to what I am. I'm a construction manager. How has it helped me? I think the networking opportunities you get with the CIOB are really good. You get to meet a diverse range of individuals. You get the opportunity to speak to people like you. You get to develop individuals and support people through their career. And I really take a lot from that. What am I looking forward to? Resigning. I actually come to the end of my 2-year tenure at the end of this year. I've been working with the CIOB for 5 years now, so it'll be nice to take a step down from the role of chairperson and hopefully be kept on as a committee member so I can keep on helping people. But that's up to the other committee to accept that request. I use one word to describe the CIOB. I think I've said it already, it's inclusive. We don't care. We are there for everyone. It's, so long as you work in construction, we will work with you. Have some patience. We'll come back to that one. Okay, so who are we? Chartered Institute of Building. This is where I needed my notes, actually. I'm going to have to go from memory now. It was formed in 1834 as the Building Society. So for a long, long time, it was seen as the dirty boots society of construction. It was the builders, and life's changed. Life's moved on. We're not the dirty hands-on construction guys that we used to be. It's now very much a forward-looking institute. They've recently issued the Code of Practice for Quality in Construction. That came on the back of the Grenfell disaster in the UK. There was a huge recognition that there was problems in the UK in particular with the quality of construction. It's not something we face here in the same way, because in the UK there was a lot of trust put onto contractors to go and do the right thing. Go and build a building, and we trusted the contractors to do that right. Here, we don't have that trust. We have a lack of trust here. So we've got a lot of supervision engineers coming in, looking at the build. Right, everything's getting inspected. So that quality issue doesn't really prevail here as it does in the UK, because in the UK the contractors didn't actually do what they were meant to do. People were taking shortcuts. And now there's a recognition that potentially they have to reintroduce the clerk of works rule. So we've been working with institutes across the UK to try and come up with a way forward, and that's what the Code of Practice for Quality in Construction is that document. So that's now available for download, and I encourage you to go into the CILB website and find that. That's our history, talked about it. Some of the famous members, Winston Churchill, apparently, O'Varup, going and looking at the civil engineers, Latham, Sir Michael Latham, was it? Yeah, he's one of them. And I'm sure there was another one as well, but I can't remember. Anyway, it was on my notes. But yeah, it's an institution to inspire people, and again, show that you're a professional. And you don't necessarily need to be an engineering expert. But so long as you know how to pull a bunch of people together, get them inspired to really kind of do what they should be doing, right, you can manage construction. So, what does it offer? Opportunities. Well, for me, construction just in general, whether it's CILB, whether it's ICE, it offers lots of opportunities, and whilst I probably haven't put into the same effort on my slides as maybe the others here before me, I do like to think we leave the best to last. So some of the jobs I've worked on, I worked on the Scottish Parliament. That was a long time ago. So that was a job which was infamous in terms of its budget, budget controls. I will actually say that when I was working with the contractor that actually built it, I think the final cost within it was in with about 10% of the initial estimate they had. So I think the politicians got it wrong. But that was a really interesting job, amazing opportunity, great one to have on your CV. I moved on from UK in 2007, came to Dubai, and in 2008 I was given the opportunity of managing Meras's first project, right behind us here. This was going to be Park Gate, so that was 6 towers, about 40 stories, with a huge big basement, 500 metres by 600 metres. We were digging that out, we got down to 18 metres, and then all of a sudden we had the credit crunch, and the basement got filled back in. But yeah, that was a great opportunity, working with an international team for the first time, managing people. We had a contractor that was based in Korea, we had architects based in USA, and I was managing that whole team. And then for me, that was an amazing opportunity, and really led to where I am now, I would say. Looking back in my career, though, one of my favourite times in my career was working as a proper engineer. I was actually working with Network Rail in the UK. I was an on-call engineer. We did inspections, we did the assessments, we did repairs, and I had the opportunity of working on the Forth Bridge. Inside the Forth Bridge, looking at the structural aspects of it, making sure that it wasn't rusting. And it's amazing how that structure's been maintained. You go inside and there's no rust at all. Yeah, great opportunity. Loved that job in some really strange parts of Scotland that were so obscure and out of the way that you would need a helicopter normally to get to it. More recently, I worked on Expo for about 3 years. I was working on the residential part of that. There was about 6 projects. I was kind of leading the team looking after all of that work. And more recently with my company, Turner & Townsend, we're working there just now. We're supporting another consultant with health and safety. We're managing a couple of pavilions there as well. So I've still got some involvement, just I'm not directly doing the job now, which is quite nice. The UE Pavilion, so Turner & Townsend are managing that. Something I've had, obviously, some exposure, like big projects, like Turner & Townsend, we're working in Abu Dhabi, this midfield, no, it's not, it's MTC. Yeah, great jobs, and when you get to work in construction and you get these opportunities, it's fantastic, and that's why I still do what I do. Recently I was working on Atlantis, doing all the guest room refurbs, doing some F&B stuff. Individual projects, not very exciting, but it's quite a cool place. And I had to test out the water park as well, because we're doing the water park extension, so I had to understand how water parks work. Great fun. But yeah, that's construction. I'm not going to say whether it's CIOB, whether it's not our institute that brings that. You guys can do it, engineers can do it. And like I say, that's why in my career, I felt that I had to get chartered. But like John, I maybe didn't do it as quick as I could. In fact, the chartership for ICE took me 3 attempts. So the first attempt, I was told I rushed it by the reviewers. Except I did rush it. I remember a friend of mine says, I'm going for my chartership, and I thought, well, that's a great idea. I'm going to do the same. Anyway, I wasn't successful. 5 years later, tried again, and it was unfortunate, but a big lessons learned. I was actually doing on the work behind here on the basement, and in my report, I talked about the dewatering. Now, I wasn't the engineer doing the dewatering, I was managing the engineers and I was managing the contractor. So needless to say, the reviewers and then, who were interviewing me thought, oh, this is a good question. So they started asking me about dewatering and the engineering principles behind it, and I didn't have a clue how to answer it. So I failed, because I didn't have any engineering understanding. And then later on in my career, I was like, what do I do? And I was going to do an MBA, and I thought, no, let's go back to getting my chartership. So I think a bit of determination, I've gone this far, I'm going to make it happen. And I only got my charter CNG 3 years ago. So again, it was third attempt, 15 years later. But for me, that I was failing in my career just because I hadn't got my IC. And I think that to me is one of the big things. You've got to stay determined. You've got to have that desire to kind of keep on improving yourself. And don't waste what you've done in the past. You can always go forward. Yeah, I'm not going to talk through that. It's all over there. There's a leaflet over there you can pick up, the CLB pamphlets. So, words of wisdom. So what are my words of wisdom? I think key thing is identifying the strengths of yourself. Know what you can do as an individual. That's key. Know what the team of people working with you can do. But more importantly, know what you can't do. And know what your team can't do, because that's when you know when to go and get an expert, get an engineer. Go and get a structural engineer, get a civil engineer, whoever it is. That's when you get your experts in. So when you know what you can do and what you can't do, that's when you can manage people. So yeah, and the word of wisdom, have a bit of patience. That's it. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Regional Chair IMEC-E. So, our first mechanical engineer of the evening. Please come up and tell us your story so far. Yeah?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Muhammad Aaqib Raza, and I'm a young engineer, graduate mechanical engineer. I'm working with the Emirates Airline and ground handling operations. And I'm going to tell you about my career and something about IMechE. What I'm doing in IMechE is like I'm a young engineer. I'm representing the young engineers in UAE, and also I'm representing the young engineers in Middle East and Africa region. So what's IMechE? IMechE is like Institute of Mechanical Engineers, and can I have okay, thank you. So a little bit about the history, like it was founded by George in 1847, and the institutions, they come from the London, so like the history is from London, and we have now like more than 98,000 members in the whole in international level, and it's spread across the globe. Like we do have the regional chapters in UK, Europe, Middle East, where we have the groups, where we have the young member committees, and where we have the regional chapters. And how it started, like in United Arab Emirates, it was, we got the group status on the first go, and then we still have plans to take the activities further and to go for the branch status in near future, and our targets. So Muhammad Al-Nakhi, he's one of the local guy from here. He's the country representative who's representing the country, United Arab Emirates, and I'm Muhammad Aaqib. So I'm young member representative for UAE, and also I'm the young member representative for Middle East and Africa region. These are like how IMechE works for the young engineers. Is like we do have the student chapters in different universities here in Dubai. Like before, when I started in UAE, like when I started my career, I was graduated in 2014. Like there was no IMechE chapter in United Arab Emirates. So, and I want to tell you something about me. So what happened with me was like when the year I get graduated in 2014, there was a photography competition organized by the IMechE. So I just participated in the competition, and I won the competition. And as a prize money, they just gave me the ticket, and they invited me for the grand dinner in Colombo. So I just went there, and then I get to know more about IMechE, like what IMechE is, how IMechE helped the young engineers, and how it helped in the professional chartered memberships and all the things I came to know with the time. And then after I came back from Colombo, like I get to know more about IMechE. I started working with the IMechE headquarters because we didn't have any chapter or group in UAE. So I started for the young engineers because I was the young engineer. I didn't have much industry experience, so I started as a young engineer, as an affiliate engineer. And then after I did some activities in UAE, I organized some of the events, and these are the three student chapters we have in Hiriat Ward, in University of Bolton, Rasul Kema, and in Manipal University. And these are the academic liaison officers who are doing and looking after all the activities in these universities. So these are the names of the chapters, but we still have plans to open the chapters in some of the other universities in Dubai. So this is all from UAE. And after like I did this all in UAE, then I got promoted, and like they said like you're doing a good job, and then you must represent the whole region and go like beyond Dubai and beyond UAE. So then I started working for the whole region, like for the Middle East and Africa region, and then we also have started some of the university chapters in Mauritius, in Kenya, and in South Africa. So now we have like 6 countries where the IMechE have the young engineer chapters. And like what membership is all about. Like most of the people here, they are affiliated with institutes, Institute of Civil Engineer and the Structural Engineers, and people know what the membership is. So I'm just gonna tell you, like, if you're gonna get the membership, the best thing you'll get is like, it's a lifetime decision, and you can have millions of benefits from the memberships. You can get the certifications, the professional registrations, and then you're going to have some technical knowledge, like we do organize the technical presentations here, where you know more about like what technology is all about and how it's going on in the region. And then you, like if you have some idea in your mind, you can come up on the stage and you can just present your ideas, you can make connections, you can do the networking, and that's how the institution helps you. So what are the stages of the memberships? Like it mostly starts from the affiliates. For the students like who are undergraduates, still in the universities, they start from the affiliate, and once they get graduated, they just convert the membership to associates, then it goes to the member and fellow. Like it's a UK professional institution, so you're going to get the professional registration as a chartered engineer if you want to carry on and take your membership on the next levels. So these are all the benefits which you're going to get from the memberships. Like you'll see, like, you have the e-library from the IMechE, you have got the networking programs, you've got the PRP sessions, it's like professional presentations you're getting, and you are like more aware of all the events and happenings in your region or in your country. So that's all is gonna help you in the memberships. So what we do, like what IMechE do is how it works. So first of all, it starts from the young members. The young members, they are in the they are the students, they are the young mechanical engineers who are getting, who are undergraduate students. And then we have got the competitions for the young engineers, like we have got the SOFI competition. SOFI is like Speak Out for Engineering. So if somebody who's a young engineer, who's a young IMechE engineer, he has some idea or he has some project, he can come to the stage and can present. And we do have this competition every year here in Dubai, like we organize. Like this year's SOFI is going to happen in next month. And then the winner from this country level competition goes for the regional level, like regional competition, where all the 7 winners from the 7 regions, they come up and they participate, and then we get like the one international winner. The other event or the other competition is the International Formula Student Competition. It happens in UK like every July of the year, and like people, the young engineers, they just like make the teams, and they like work on the Formula 1 cars, and then there's racing in July, June, like there's a lot of details you can see on the IMechE website. So that's the imeche.org, where you can find the details about all the events and about all the competitions, and you can have information about the trainings. There's WebEx trainings, there are events, near you events, like this is a near you can find on the website, where you can see like wherever you are, you can just go to your near you system and you can check what events are happening around you, and you can get help even if you want to go for the chartered membership. So that's how it works. So that's it. If you have any questions about the competitions or about the events we do organize, you can check on the website, you can contact me anytime. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Who was, thank you, who was sharing their experience with us tonight. So, just before we bring our evening to a close, as I said before, I'm so delighted that so many people have came this evening and are interested in this initiative, Chain. Now, tonight very much is this launch, and it is just that, hopefully just the start of something here in Dubai that we will all benefit from as we go forward. And very much I have kind of taken it upon myself to make this happen tonight, because I really do believe in it. But as you heard from Nick Valentine earlier, obviously to keep this going and to continue to have events and to continue to have different speakers, continue to reach out to the engineering community, it's quite key that you know, that some of these things I'm saying here, you know, we need help. What I'm really looking for is people who would be prepared to be involved in some way or another. And I know sometimes you're thinking, well, I don't want to do that. You know, I'm busy enough already. I know everybody in Dubai is so busy, and I'm sure everyone in the room is no different. Right now, all I'm just looking for is people who are prepared to give up a little bit of their time. And it might be that these events only happen maybe every 3 months or something. it wouldn't be that it's necessarily going to turn into a full-time job. And I do thank all the people who I have reached out to, because I know that I've kind of put you in the place, in your, put you on the spot a little bit to make tonight happen. But I do know that there is some genuine interest from other groups as well. I mean, we've had some great institutions represented here, and there's many more to come. So I know that we can certainly have other events like this. I know that tonight we've hosted it here in the Academy, and we're delighted to do so. And if we can accommodate that in the future, then we will. But we also know that maybe we need to take this as a travelling roadshow, maybe, I don't know. And we need to go to other places, maybe it's universities or maybe it's some other locations. It would be really great to just have some help with that. So really what I'm asking for is, if you feel that you would be prepared to give us some of your time, to give us spend some of your talents. Everybody's got different things that they're good at. Organising, arranging, persuading people to speak is always a good skill, I think. Then really please let us know, let me know, let Arun know tonight that you would be prepared to help. As I said, it might be that we take this out with this academy. We can certainly take some more than we have tonight, but of course if the group get much bigger, then we maybe can't have it here. We would need to look for other venues, as it says, looking for venues. And of course speakers. If you're involved with an organisation, if you're, as I said, other institutions have certainly been interested, and we'll get them involved before. And so if you either are a speaker yourself and you could see that you would be involved in this, especially some of our young engineers, if you know of someone who you think would be a good fit for this platform and this event, then please let us know, because obviously we're going to be looking for speakers in the future. It's very interesting actually that Nick Valentine, when he set this up in the UK, he was very formal about what he actually set up. And there is almost like a full set of guidelines to this program, and I think it's just so that there's a little bit of continuity between whatever's been done. And this was great for us because it meant that whatever's been done in the UK, we could kind of follow these same rules. So it's not that we're really inventing this from scratch. We're actually just following a prescribed program that was, that has already been laid out, and that we hope to follow in the near future. Really what I would like to do as well is just to kind of open this up to yourself, to say, what's your feelings? As I said, I know I'm quite keen on this. I want to take it forward, but I'm just interested to know from the people who have genuinely come out tonight. You're obviously interested enough to be here. What maybe some of your thoughts are on chain in general, on maybe where we could take this in the UAE, going forward, who should be involved, who shouldn't be involved, the format that we had tonight, should we change it, what else? Really, if you have any feedback, it would be amazing. If anybody would love to volunteer something, perfectly. Thank you.
It's actually quite an encouraging group, really. I think for the last 5 years, the CIOB here in Dubai, we've tried to work with other institutions to try and do joint events, and it's been very, very challenging. Not because of a lack of desire, but again, just down to a lack of time, a lack of commitment, and it's great to have a body potentially providing that link between everyone. Just what's interesting as well, that the CIOB, they do an annual global forum where regional chairs and people like yourself who are on the hubs get together and we talk about the way forward. And last year we were challenged with what is the future of the CIOB? What's it going to look like? And everyone recognised that digital was changing everything. It was changing how we work. It's changing how we live our lives. And it was felt that potentially there's maybe going to be an amalgamation of institutes, because we're all trying to do the same thing. So if we work together and work more efficiently, we can effectively get more people involved and be more efficient in doing that. So I think this could potentially be one of those instigators to maybe drive that thought process forward. So I think it's a great thing. I'm happy to stay in contact anyway. I wouldn't make a commitment at this point in time.
Great, thank you. Great comment, thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, actually I agree with Mathew. It's a very good idea to have a session. All the institutions, we do our technical talks, our specified subject, but being together with other institutions is very good. Also sharing experience of other engineers, it's a good idea. And we do organize seminars with other institutions, even with SOE, but we do have, and I think this is a good start to having these seminars, these talks. Yeah. We have one route, the London and the therefore basically it's good to work together.
Yep.
Okay, good. From maybe some of our young engineers in the room, it would be good to hear your thoughts, even from our speakers.
Good one. It's a brilliant platform for us to be part of, to be honest. It's really good. What I would be interested to know is what people want to hear from us, to be honest. So I'm CIPC, we have ICE, you have BOE. What do you want to hear from us, to be honest? Like, we're here for you. We want to help you guys out, try to understand what's happening in the industry. So it would be good to have a feedback sort of platform where people who attended today can actually rate us. So what do you think we presented and what do you want to see from us in the future in the events? So we can sort of custom tailor-make the events so that you can actually benefit from it as well. That's an idea.
Sure, good point, absolutely. Anyone? So there were quite a few people on the registered form said that they were not currently a part of any institutions. If you don't mind putting your hand up if that applies to you. Okay. And is that just maybe because you haven't thought about that yet, or you're not at the right sort of part in your career that you feel to do that, or is it something you're thinking about for the future, or?
For me, it's because I've moved out into sustainability construction, and I want to be
Okay.
That's something I start to do.
For sure. Thank you very much for that. That's great. Everyone loves a volunteer. Eh? Everyone loves a volunteer. What was your? I know that you put your hand up for.
Well, I'm a facade engineer, and I don't think that facade engineers do have an institution.
That's a really great point, actually. She said she's a facade engineer, right? And she's not sure if that's and if there's an institution for facade engineers. I mean, the obvious one to be, I would have thought maybe structural, but maybe that's not the case. I don't know.
We do, CIPC do have a society of facade engineers.
They do? There is a you're saved. There's a society for facade engineers.
And we are happy to talk to you as well.
Now that you've identified that you don't have an institution, everybody's interested in who you are. But that's a really good point. And I do wonder sometimes, who's, thinking that, I'm in such and such a role that maybe you don't see instantly as ICE, iStruct, iMechie, whatever it might be. You're not quite sure, where that would be. And to be honest, that's a really good point and I think that's what we're trying to do as well. We have let's call them the more commonly known ones represented here this evening. But if I went back to this list that you see here, there's a few that you maybe don't recognise there, but some of these are certainly colleagues that we actually have here in the room. And also that I know are interested to be involved, but they're not here this evening. And the IED that you see, this is the Institute of Engineering Designers, and that's there because that's me. And you probably didn't realise that there was an Institute of Engineering Designers. And that was because I originally came from a background of being a draftsman. Right? So I wasn't an engineer. And the question was, well, if you weren't an engineer, what institution did you actually belong to? And at that point, you were kind of guided towards the Institute of Engineering Designers. So I can understand what you're sort of saying, you know, you weren't quite sure, but it sounds like you do have an institution, so you're saved. So someone needs to find, well, you could probably Google it, I suppose, but if you do know who that specifically is, then we should certainly make that known to you. So. And we can probably help with that kind of thing, which is to make some of these institutions more known. Yeah. Again, in the academy, we do a lot about trying to educate people about the whole life cycle of projects, and that's more to say beyond design and construct. You've got operate, maintain, and facilities management, right? And over here, of course, we have the Institute of Asset Management, and that's a very big, organisation, and a big part of the sort of story that we tell here in the academy. But again, just depending on what your particular part of the life cycle is that you're involved in, you might not be aware of what else is going on. So maybe that's again what we can try and do here. Is we can try and raise awareness for some of these, it sounds terrible, but lesser known institutions. Yeah, thank you. That was great. That was a really good point. Anyone else?
RICS. My target, my aim is to be MRSS, but after 2 years from now. So after 2 years, I can guarantee you're good, but the RICS logo.
Very good, very good. Well, that's a good one to work with you. This gentleman here is a very good attender for our sessions here in the academy. So I'm delighted that you raised that. Absolutely. And of course, there's in fact, Royal Institute of British Architects. I mean, okay, we're sitting in Dubai, but RIBA is a big organisation here. Right? But we don't tend to, when we talk about a lot of these institutions, we don't tend to talk about the architectural one. But again, and I'll tell something else as well, that probably all of these institutions, you're all having monthly meetings, I would guess. So all these institutions, all these people, and they're all having monthly meetings. So really, really good to hear. So thank you very much for that. Yes, absolutely. I'm sure there'll be more. Any other points, observations, questions? Okay. So please feel free. There's still some food left in our back room. Please go and help yourself. There's some soft drinks, some teas, coffees. Enjoy some refreshments. Feel free to network. Feel free to visit our stands where some of our institutions have material available, or would love to talk to anyone, I'm sure, who is wondering what institution they might should be speaking to. That would be fantastic. And thank you so much for this evening. And again, please, if you think you can help for further events, please let me know. Thank you very much. Safe journey.